All right, welcome to our show today. Today I have Ivonne Rohner. Yvonne, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and maybe one of your passions in life.
So I'm Ivonne Rohner. My passion in life is to improve workplace communication. I feel a lot of people are so since we haven't learned it, we're struggling with effectively communicating in a way that is really human or is very reflected in the workplace. And yeah, I've tried different ways how to change that. So I started my journey as a consultant, as an agile coach, doing team coachings, introducing new methodologies in the workplace that help communication, but also making organizations more transparent. And after that, like within the pandemic, I've changed to virtual interactions, so aiding remote work to become more humanized in a way, because all of us were complaining about losing connections in the workplace and not feeling the others anymore, their energy in the space. And I really helped lots of trainers, speakers, organizations, teams to make remote work more fun. And now I landed, I'm collaborating with XR Bootcamp. We're organizing a huge event called CoachTech Summit, where we are trying to mix or blend virtual reality and coaching. And this is super interesting because for me, me and my coach background, I've always been interested in new technologies and maybe a little bit about the history of XR Bootcamp. They are a VR development training camp, one of the really known ones in the world. And we just joined forces to explore this really wonderful, exciting topic, and we're inviting a lot of coaches and trainers right now to explore all the different solutions out there. And it's been an exciting journey so far, and I'm looking ahead of what's coming.
So the training or the boot camp is around VR, virtual reality, right? So what you're going to do is introduce people into how they can get training or coaching on using virtual reality, or give training or coaching with virtual reality, right?
So XR Bootcamp is a different story. So that's not my company. That's the company of my two co-organizers, Ferhan and Rahel. And they are training developers to become better at VR development.
Okay, and so what you're doing is specifically around coaching and training, right?
Yes, I'm figuring out how to use virtual reality for coaching and training.
Okay, so as an entrepreneur, why would I want to use virtual reality for my coaching or training?
I think so. For me, I'm a digital native, and I see wow, this topic has such a huge potential, because what we've seen throughout the last 2 years is that people, or mostly coaches, struggled with, or also trainers struggled with putting their content, putting all the interactions out there in their trainings and remote efforts. I mean, most of them said, "Oh, I'm lacking the energy. I'm lacking the presence of the other participants. I want to feel them. I want to have more connections in there." And what I saw is that virtual reality actually helps you to enhance that sense of presence in the virtual or in a remote space. So I see a huge potential in there. And on top of that, there are so many different opportunities that we don't really think of. I mean, when I started this journey, I didn't even know myself that you could do immersive perspective changes. For instance, really switching into another person's shoes, being them. Or, for instance, to give you an example, I did a virtual reality solution where I stepped into so I'm a young woman, and I stepped into an elderly man with a beard and beer belly on a leadership table. And it was really interesting to see how I really embodied this role. So how do you do this? It's called visual embodiment. For looking, choosing your avatar, how you want to look, your skin color, do you want to be male, female, or whatever, choosing the avatar and then looking into a mirror and seeing how your hand gestures are equal to the avatar who's looking at you from the mirror. And within some minutes, you already get the impression that you are they. You are the avatar now. And it's really impressive. I've tested it with a lot of people, and all of them, even a 7-year-old boy, felt like it was so cute to see. I just had that scenario today. He jumped on the sofa and he said, "I was this tall in virtual reality." And yeah, that was so cool to see, and that it works. And for workplace communication, it's brilliant because you can really go into a different perspective. Like, for instance, a leader can take the perspective of their employee. For instance, in a termination conversation, right? And for someone who has never done this before, this is really great to practice. And and it's also a very, very safe environment to do this. So it really VR enables you to do experiential learning. So practicing difficult workplace situation in a safe environment. And oh my God, I could talk for hours about all the different scenarios, but like just to give you a short overview that there's really more that we can think of and that we don't really explore or that we don't even know or haven't heard of.
So you could use the same technology for a group of people to get together, and they could sort of change roles or change look and feel or the looks of themselves and do role playing where maybe the male changes with somebody else or the boss changes with somebody else and something like that, where you both can then see each other as somebody different and then go through some role playing exercises in leadership or as you said, even in the hiring process or process where you have to let somebody go? Yeah.
So you usually you do it within a coaching or training setting. So you have your leadership training, and as a manager, you want to practice some different scenarios, conflicts, or even diversity aspects. Being I don't know, getting the perspective of someone who is colored or there are so many options that I can think of as well. Or being in, if you have the experience of someone who's in a wheelchair, it's just very different. And having really embodied someone that probably experienced being excluded somehow helps you then to do better in the real world. This is really just one example of what you can do. And as a coach or trainer, I'm always on the side of the person who experiences this. And you will afterwards, you talk about it and how you feel, what changed in your perspective, what would you do differently now? Yeah.
Earlier you said that coaching using VR makes it more human or humanized. Can you explain what you mean by that?
So I want to put a disclaimer on this because this is really my personal opinion. I think it makes it more human because you can feel the actual presence of someone in the room compared to a video call. In a video call, you see someone in a 2D screen, and in VR, I can really feel the person more close to me because I feel their avatar. For instance, I had the situation today that I let a coach try out the solution today, and she mentioned that it feels weird because the avatar is so close to her, like within her personal space. I mean, you know, the personal space boundaries, yeah. And that was so interesting because you wouldn't say that in a video call. You would never say, oh, someone is invading my space. You wouldn't even feel like that because you only have audio or the video feed. But in VR, you can literally feel inhibited or by an avatar or inhibited by, someone who's moving too close to you. And this is just very different to other experiences.
Yeah, and I would imagine that it also helps with people multitasking during their meetings. Or I know that in your coaching, when you're coaching, you want everybody to be completely engrossed or involved with what you're trying to teach. And Zoom meetings or video meetings tend to always let people wander off on their own because you don't exactly know what they're doing. And especially if they have their video turned off, this gives you an opportunity to both do close talking, as you said, or uncomfortable space, but also keep them involved. Maybe you could talk to us about how this really makes people be involved in what you're doing without having to physically be there.
Yeah, so there have been studies around that as well, that it really enhances your focus. Yeah, because you can literally, I mean, if you're developing the space, you can literally design what's in there and really getting the focus of the person on what's happening, on the situation. And when you're coaching in virtual reality, you see everything your coachee sees as well. If you're coaching through video and your coachee is looking upright, you have no idea what they're looking at. What is there a color? Is there another person? What is there? You know, and that's a huge advantage as well. Yeah, really having people focusing on the content and the experience right now.
We were introduced by Rahel Dement, and she's an entrepreneurs organization, and I'm an entrepreneurs organization. That's how we got connected. But you're doing a specific conference about this, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm organizing a conference about connecting virtual reality and coaching, because most coaches and trainers have never really experienced what it could be like, and also haven't explored this area at all. It's maybe a little bit too far away for some people, but I strongly believe that it will be very, 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 very important for the next 2 or 3 years, within the next 2 or 3 years. And we're organizing this conference to make people aware of what's happening right now. What solutions are out there? What can they do? What use cases have been done? What are the benefits? But also what might be limiting us to get forward. And also, I find it's a really important discussion for coaches and trainers not to be limited in their opportunities when they're giving coaching and training. For instance, when you within the last 2 years, people hopped on video conferencing technology and try to make all of their content work within the limited space of this format. And when we think of virtual reality or other realities, why are we waiting until someone else is deciding for us how we should use the technology? rather than getting early into the discussion and co-creating, co-designing what is necessary to build a good coaching and training environment.
So the technology sounds perfect to blend sort of an in-person conference with a remote conference. I'm assuming your conference is going to be remote. Is it also in person? Is it a hybrid event?
Yeah, so we're organizing an online event because we want to invite people all over the world, and we're also having like different time zones, mostly Europe and USA. And yeah, we will have a very accessible conference that is just happening over video as well, because to most of the coaches and trainers I've reached out to, they are a little afraid, not afraid, but VR technology is so different to what they usually do. So we just wanted to share information and give the ability to ask questions and to really get involved into the discussion and really get a grasp on this topic that is so unusual. And then we're doing a second event. So the first event is on October 19th for 3 hours, 5 p.m. Central European time and 8 a.m. Pacific time. And the second event is on November 26th, where people can actually order the headsets to their homes, and then we will do a fully VR experience, trying out every single solution and discussing in depth how it works.
Yeah, the fully VR event sounds quite exciting, and I think it'll allow you to be more immersed in an actual conference style event. It will also make the breakout sessions a lot more interesting. I think what I've struggled with over the last 18 months with virtual events is sort of the meeting and greeting people. Either they just do it by chat or they do it by a video where you're one-on-one and you don't really know them. I think this gives you a chance to feel as though you're with them more,
definitely,
rather than
yeah. And
I guess the other thing though is that you could create your avatar so you look different, wouldn't it? You could also create an avatar where you could drop in as somebody else, so it makes it a little. It also makes it a little different in the sense that you may not be you, or you could attend as not you. How do you control that avatar? Like, how do you control making sure that somebody isn't fictitiously being somebody else?
I mean, in a video call where you don't show your video, just your voice, how can you control it there?
Yeah, you can't. Absolutely not. Yeah, no, I mean, I think as the technology gets easier or simpler, it's a lot harder. Well, I mean, it's either easier or harder. You could use some kind of a voice thing to make your voice sound different, but otherwise you can't do that. Yeah, no, I think it sounds fantastic. So I know that Rohit, like I said earlier, Rahel and myself are both in EO. Are you targeting any sort of group, or is this just in general business people that want to get coaching on business?
No, we're targeting coaches, and we're targeting executive coaches or coaches that are that relate to workplace communication mostly, and also trainers in that area, and HR pioneers who really want to get something that is scalable and unique for their organization.
Yeah, and I guess as an HR person, it is almost a necessity now that you become more. You need to find ways to become more involved with your employees and learn more about them. I think the challenge is that everybody can't have a VR headset, although you could probably get one rigged up to your phone or something.
Yeah,
somewhat of a.
Yeah, but, I mean, I've participated in VR environments from my PC before, so that's not a problem. For instance, I think it was Altspace, where people did a gathering, just to discuss things or play a game. I could totally also access that from my laptop. So what what I also hear a lot is, oh, this is not including to everyone. You have to have a headset. No, that's not true. You can also access it without headsets, the environments.
Yeah, excellent. Well, tell us again, when are the dates of the conference, and how do you find out, or where do you go to sign up?
Yeah, so the conference is happening on the 19th of October, 2021. So in 8 days. And then, it's starting from 8 a.m. in the morning Pacific time, so in the US, and 5 p.m. European time. And that's the first event, and the second event is in later November, 26th of November. And that's a full day of VR experiencing. Right. And you can register at Eventbrite. Maybe we'll link.
Yeah, I'll put the show notes in the schedule, and it is your Instagram. You have CoachTech Summit at CoachTech Summit, and the same with Twitter at CoachTech Summit. And I'm excited to see how the event turns out.
Yeah,
it's very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited too.
Great. Thanks a lot for being with us today. I look forward to the events in the future and getting coached in the future, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be exciting. Yeah, I would love to do that.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.